This week on the podcast, we have a very famous person joining us to talk about I'll Always Know What You Did Last Summer. Let's go. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Dissect That Film podcast, where we talk about your favorite films, film franchises, and TV. Today, on episode 96 of the podcast, we are talking about a film that I don't think a lot of people even know exists. But our special guest decided, why not? I'll Always Know What You Did Last Summer from 2006.
So you've all heard the story, right? About what happens on July 4th?
Whoa, Amber, you want to freak everyone out?
What are you guys talking about?
The fisherman. Every 4th of July, he sharpens up his hook, and runs wild.
They were the best of friends until something went horribly wrong.
The secret dies with us. Say it.
Secret dies with us.
Secret dies with us.
Secret dies with us.
They know the legend, but they never imagined what would happen next.
Did you tell anyone?
I kept our promise. Which one of you opened your mouth?
Now, someone knows their secret.
Ready?
I'll always know what you did last summer. Get hooked.
I'm your host, Brett Parker. Joining me, as always, is my wonderful co-host, Dan and Angela of DNA Gaming. And joining us is the very famous Tony from Hack the Movies.
Hello, thank you for having me on. I just want to say right off the bat, I'm sorry. I had actually never watched this movie in full before. I knew about it, and I knew about the ending, and luckily I had forgotten that I knew about the ending when I was watching it. Yeah, so I'm glad I finally watched it. I actually have the trilogy box set here.
It looks good.
I actually like that. I like that cover. Yeah.
Oh yeah, the art looks great and everything, and of course it's the wrong region.
No.
So I bought this a few years ago, and I'm like, oh, and by the way, I always forget that I can't play it in my Blu-ray player. So like occasionally I'm like, oh, let me throw I Know What You Did Last Summer on. I'm like, oh right, I can't. So I had to pop it in my computer and rip the Blu-ray disc just to watch this thing.
Oh no.
Yeah, I really loved I Know What You Did Last Summer. I reviewed it on my show. I have a commentary track on Patreon for the second one. There was a TV show that came out last year, which apparently none of you even knew about.
Oh, I knew about the show. I just have had zero interest to watch it. Yeah, it just.
I got like 3 episodes into it, and I forgot it existed. So maybe one day I'll finish it. But yeah, you were asking me what movie to do, and I'm like, oh, what can I do? And then I was like, oh right, a few weeks ago they announced that they're gonna do a Legacy sequel with Jennifer Love Hewitt and Freddie Prinze, because that's what we needed. Spoiler, we didn't need the first sequel, but apparently we're getting another one. And I was like, well, you know what? I never actually watched that third one in full, as far as I could tell. So this is a good time to watch it.
Yeah, this was one I had never heard of until Dead Meat, a channel we've mentioned many times on the show. They covered it on their kill count, and I was like, oh, so that's the only time I ever watched this movie until last night. Oh, man. Tony, before we get into all of the fun of going through this movie, tell us a little bit about your little show over there, Hack the Movies.
Oh, well, Hack the Movies. It's a brand I've had for a very long time, since like 2010, but in the last few years it kind of took off. It's a movie podcast. Can you believe it?
Whoa!
Can you believe such a thing?
Never.
But yeah, we hang out in a video store most of the time, and we just talk about movies, new or old. If it's an older movie, we usually call it Talking About Tapes. If it's a newer one, it's just the Hack Movie Show. Lately, we've been doing live episodes, which is a lot of fun. I've been doing end of the month wrap up live episodes where I just talk about what I watched that month, and the fans participate. Yeah, and I just love talking about movies. I filmed a bunch of stuff in the past, so yeah, I figure, you know what? There's probably some people on the internet that probably want to know what I have to say about movies. And then it took 12 years to find that audience, but here we are. Here we are.
Well, I mean, I am a huge fan of yours. Of course, I watch you every week, and I actually found out about you through Movie Dumpster, who we've had on the show.
Oh, I love Movie Dumpster.
Yeah, actually, I think one of the first episodes was an episode that Joe was on. Couldn't tell you which one it was. It was one of the many that he's been on. But yeah, and I just got hooked. All your guests are hilarious. You're hilarious. The gags that you guys do on the show, and then of course all the extra stuff you do with your shorts that you made, your Halloween short, which was hilarious, and then you did the Die Hard one, which was great.
We made Die Hard a Christmas movie to shut everyone up. It was like, all right, you don't think it's a Christmas movie? We put the Grinch and Kevin McAllister in it. It's a Christmas movie now.
Yeah.
And we mentioned you anytime we talk about a movie that I know that you have covered on the show. We like to shout you out. So you have been involved in the show even way before you actually were on the show. So
wow,
yeah. And I'm getting Dan and I'm pushing Dan and Angela to watch more of your content. So we're all three of us will be in the same.
I did like when you messaged me. Hold on.
No, you're good.
You were like, hey, I've been waiting for a while, but I'm a little nervous to do it. And I just responded in all caps. How dare you ask me? I'm too famous for you. I'm gonna block you. So and then I'm like, oh, okay, I'd love to have you on.
So behind the scenes of that message, I was very drunk. That was Thanksgiving. I was very drunk, and I literally looked at my wife. I'm like, I'm gonna finally message Tony and ask him if he wants to be on the show. This is the only way I feel like I'll get the willpower to do it, because I was just so nervous to do it. I was like, he's just gonna say no. We're nothing. We're nothing.
I would have answered normally, but the fact that you said I'm nervous, I'm like, oh, I gotta say the worst. What's the worst possible response he could get? I'm like, I'm gonna do that.
And then I said, oh yeah, I'll message you soon with some dates, and I didn't message you till like 2 weeks ago. So it's been a while. So yeah, I'm a bad host. It's okay. But I just find it funny that you are the third guest of 2023. We had Gerald from Two Peas on the Pod who picked an Academy Award winning or Academy Award nominated film in Everything Everywhere All at Once. And then we had Justin from Epic Film Guys and Brain Stew on the show.
Oh, yeah, I know him.
Yeah, he was on the show. We did Spawn.
I love Spawn.
So the movie qualities are just they're kind of going down. Now we're talking about I'll always know what you did last summer. So, Tony, tell us your thoughts about this movie, since you literally just watched it in full for the first time. Tell us your thoughts on this wonderful film.
You know, as a hardcore fan of the I Know What You Did Last Summer film series, I was a little let down. Actually, it's basically just a rehash for most of the movie. It's like, oh, we're just doing that again. Cool. Okay. I'm like, I get it's like in that universe, and I was fully expecting Copycat Killer. Much like what was it? The new Saw movie, Spiral. How like it's not actually Jigsaw. Spoiler, I guess. It's not actually Jigsaw. No. Well, it wouldn't be Jigsaw anyway. He died in the third one. But it's basically someone going, you know what? I'm gonna take this killer's persona and just kind of run with it. That's what I was expecting. It was as low budget as I was anticipating. But yeah, then the third act, you could tell writer Michael D. Wise was like, I don't know how to end this. I don't know how to end this. It's already kind of a rehash. And it's like, oh, I know what I'll do. And then he did like the worst thing you could have done in this movie.
Man.
But hey, you know what? It worked out, okay? Because Michael Weiss, he ended up writing The Butterfly Effect 2. and Journey to the Center of the Earth, and Hostel Part 3, and Scorpion King 4, and Jarhead 3, and of course, the newest one, Eraser Reborn. They made an Eraser sequel last year.
Are you serious?
Yes, they did. And they
Like
also,
that?
weird side tangent that doesn't have anything to do with the movies you just mentioned, but they made a sequel to R.I.P.D. Just want to throw that out there. That
was weird because I'm like, no one even liked that movie. But the director of this, Sylvian White, this was his like first, I think, full film. No, his second full film, and then a year later he does like Stomp the Yard, which is like a huge hit.
Yeah.
And then he did the Losers, which I actually liked, and then he did a bunch of just TV since then. He hasn't really. He did one movie. He did the Slender Man movie.
Oh,
but yeah, he mostly did TV afterwards. So I mean, good on him. I mean, I guess it's competently made. I guess.
So
it's not the worst slasher I've ever seen, is what I'm saying. But yeah, it was just a retread of the first movie, and then it just turns into a Friday the 13th at the very end.
Yeah, pretty much. The thing I read about Sylvian White is that he was brought onto this movie 2 weeks before they started shooting it. And he was responsible to get the shooting locations, the actors, and pretty much everything. So this movie literally had to be started in 2 weeks. This guy just, because I had a director and he got fired. And so they had to bring this guy on last second and literally give him every job before they started shooting.
Oh my God.
Ugh. Awful.
Hey, like I said, it worked out. It worked out for him.
Yeah.
It worked out.
I mean, he's directed some of the episodes of The Americans, which is, in my opinion, a great show.
But yeah, I guess we should like let people know like what happened in the previous movies. If you want me to briefly recap them a little bit.
So Tony, you have covered these movies, so I'm going to let you give us a backstory of this.
Right there in the background, I have the autograph of the killer from I Know What You Did Last Summer. But yeah, it's a bunch of kids. They run over someone. They dispose of the body. They swear to never tell anyone. A year later, someone's going around going like, hey, I know what you did last summer, sending them cryptic messages. They get killed one by one. It turns out the guy that they ran over was a murderer who just got done murdering someone. And he came back to murder all of them. And then, of course, they fight on a boat. His hand gets cut off. They disappear. And they think they're safe. And then a year later, they win a trip to the Bahamas. Right? Was it the Bahamas or the Caribbean?
Yeah,
whatever.
I think it's the Bahamas.
Yeah,
the Bahamas, the islands. They go to the islands and they're like, wow, I can't believe we won this trip. And then more murders happen. And it turns out the killer is back and he has a son. And then they both die at the very end. Except for there's a fake out where the killer is underneath Jennifer Love Hewitt's bed. And that was it. That's the story. He was, as far as I know, he was just a human man.
Maybe not.
Until this film. But yeah, it almost feels like, you ever watch like a sequel to a movie that's mostly just a remake, like Howling 4 or something? It's like, oh, this is just the same story.
Yeah.
That's what this kind of felt like, just modified a little bit until the midway point where they're like, oh no, it's a sequel now. And then the ending where it's just insane.
Yeah, I mean, we can even look at like huge franchises. Like a lot of people compare, as much as I want to talk about Star Wars, but like Force Awakens, people just compare it to A New Hope. But it's like they're probably like, well, a lot of people, like a lot of these kids, they haven't seen A New Hope, so we're just going to give them a new, prettier version. And then when they got those complaints, and we got The Last Jedi, which was way different than anything we've ever seen, and everybody bitched about that. So I was like, what do you want from us? Oh, I could not find a budget for this movie. I couldn't find what this movie made. I don't even know if this thing was in theaters, if this was just direct to video.
No, I believe this was direct to video. So
Okay.
I remember when this was coming out, seeing ads for it, and I was still like really big into those first two movies, and even I, just looking at the poster and everything, I'm like, no, I'm good. I can skip this one. I will say the killer is Don Shanks this time. Who was Michael Myers in Halloween 5.
Mm-hmm.
And he's played
Nice.
a bunch of smaller characters in like big movies. Like I know he's in like Dumb and Dumber and whatnot. But yeah, all that together, I still I couldn't muster up enough energy to actually watch this movie until now, so I can watch it with my best friends here.
Yeah, I know, right?
Boy, yeah, this was $3.99. I can't get back, but
I also apologies for that as well. I like last time I checked, this was on TUBI, and then I was like, oh shit, it's not streaming anywhere. And I'm like, now I feel like an asshole.
Oh, all I want to say is that Brooke Nevin, who plays our lead character, is it Amber? Amber, the name of the main character? She was in Animorphs.
Probably. Oh boy.
Yeah.
Credentials.
Ooh, that hit TV show for 1 year that was based on a book series I actually enjoyed as a kid. Like I'm just looking at these actors. Like we got David Potko. He was in Final Destination 2.
Oh, wait, is he the guy that gets killed with the ladder goes through his head? He looked familiar.
So.
I think he's that guy. He was the only actor in this movie where I'm like, I think I've seen that guy before.
Like douchey blonde guy. Yeah, that's him.
Yep.
Yeah.
Tori DeVito, who played Zoe, she was in One Tree Hill. I never saw that show.
Yes, in the Vampire Diaries.
And then Ben Easter, who I think he played was he like the guy that had a crush on Amber, the cousin of the guy who dies in this movie?
Yeah.
Literally all it says is an American actor and photographer. It doesn't even tell me what he's been in. Just like, okay.
Well, I'm looking at his IMDb credits here. Okay. He was a Baja sailor in Pearl Harbor.
Oh man.
And then a bunch of other stuff. But he's the voice of a bulldozer or something named Bulldozer in a movie called Up on the Rooftop. It's a Christmas movie about a dog.
Oh Lord.
I really want to watch Up on the Rooftop. I'm not gonna lie.
It's probably better than this. It's gotta be, right?
They say
I don't see how it could be worse.
He's just sailor from Pearl Harbor, and it's just that one, just like one shot they show of a guy. Just, oh, hey, there he is.
You might know me. I was a sailor in Pearl Harbor, and I was in Up on the Rooftop. And they're like, "Oh yeah, it's real cool, buddy."
Oh yeah, I remember you. Oh Lord, this movie came out August 15th, 2006, which was right before my freshman year of high school.
Ooh.
Yeah, I mean, there's really not a lot to talk about with this movie behind the scenes, other than it was written in 2000, and they originally were going to bring back Jennifer Love Hewitt. Words are hard. And
that is fun. That is like one of my first like major crushes. You better get her name right.
And Freddie Prinze Jr. Yeah, they were going to bring him back, but it didn't form. They didn't get a good enough script and all that. And then they decided 6 years later, this was a good enough script. Just redo what you already did.
I don't blame them for not coming back because that second one was pretty bad. Like it's fun to make fun of, but yeah, that second one's really bad.
And Freddie Prinze Jr. wasn't even in the second one for that long.
Yeah, he's barely in it. Like he's the B story of like I gotta get to the island. I guess it's so stupid.
I don't remember as Jack Black was in that movie.
Oh, God, he was. A bunch of people were in that. Jennifer Esposito was in it as a bartender. I forget the guy from Reanimator was in it. The Reanimator, Jeffrey Combs.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. Unlike this movie where it's just the guy who played Michael Myers once. That's our hero. That's our main guy in this.
Actor. Boom. Star.
Yeah. Music. The guy who did the music did a lot of. He did Dungeons and Dragons in 2000.
Ooh, the classic.
Yeah. An American Haunting in 2005.
Okay. The
Gray Man, not the Gray Man that came out last year, but the Gray Man from 2007. You ever see that
one,
movie?
I think.
Yeah.
Somebody's seen it.
Oh, I mean, he composed for the Metal Gear Solid game. Good for him.
Which one?
5.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
And a bunch of the SOCOM U.S. Navy SEAL games, which, to be honest,
awesome.
I played quite a bit of. And Siphon Filter.
Siphon Filter.
Logan's Shadow.
Ooh.
Tony, you're a
Oh,
Siphon Filter fan, aren't you?
Yes, I'm actually a really obnoxiously big Siphon Filter fan. I had a mini series called Siphon Filter and Friends, where I played a level of Siphon Filter with the guest, and just
Okay.
talked about how great it was. And it got enough attention that the lead game designer of the original game saw the show, and then he was on the last episode with me, and I just
That's
asked him
awesome.
so many questions. I'm like, so what's it like making the greatest video game of all time? Like I was asking real hard-hitting questions like that. But yes.
Dan, Angela, what did you think of this movie?
No, go ahead.
You guys gonna do
Let's-
rock,
let's
paper, scissors, shoot?
so
Figure it
go ahead and
out.
say something quick before Parker takes it away from us. Go.
On it, it was a movie. That's
Yes.
all I can
Say
say
the
about
thing.
How
it.
did you feel
Why?
about the? Sorry.
Why y'all make shitty movies?
Again, it's very timely. I mean, people have a revived interest in I Know What You Did Last Summer for some reason. I don't know why. And people want to know, how did that film series end? And we're here to tell them
Gosh, it
very
was
poorly.
bad. He made a point more than one time about how crappy it was shot, like the angles.
Oh my god.
And I'm sitting here, I'm like, I'm getting kind of dizzy watching some of this. I'm like, I don't know if I can watch it while it's like panning back and forth. Like, we're going to go from up top. No, we're going to go in between his legs. And I'm like,
I will say that to make a point about it being shot like poorly, this is the grainiest movie I've ever seen. Did you guys, your version of the movie, was it like super grainy?
Yeah, it
There was a lot
looks
of
it looked
digital
dark. It
noise.
also
Yeah.
looked dark. Like it was
Yeah.
just like I mean, it's not as dark as AVP Requiem, but it was dark.
I don't know. We didn't have a problem seeing this one either, Parker. Tell us all about it.
Well, let me tell you, Dan.
Please do.
yeah, there was dark scenes, but then the spots that are supposed to be dark is like blinding
Right.
bright.
When we're in the
Like,
barn, it's like the sun's like right there outside the window.
Or they put a blue
Yes.
filter over something just to make it look dark, and you're like, what?
Hmm.
That was a poor choice.
yeah, but I know the guy that directed this directed music videos, and that's exactly what it felt like.
Dude, the start of the movie, it's just like I was like, when's
Yeah.
the singing coming in? Come on. There's a couple times in the movie where that goes. I was like, music video. Something's happening. Somebody's singing.
I mean,
I will
she
say-
did later.
Yeah, there's like a 'cause there's a couple like songs in this, but then that dream sequence is where they went like really hardcore with the music video editing. And I'm like, all right, well, the one was a song, that's a dream sequence, but then when they use the music video style editing when the killer reveals his face, I'm like, I feel like this is inappropriate for this moment.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh Lord.
I'm definitely glad it was only $3.99.
Listen, Alien vs. Predator was $3.99 too. All right. That was two movies for $3.99.
Definitely
sorry
would
if
watch it again.
I'm sorry, when I was ripping my Blu-ray, I could have sent you guys the file. I didn't think to find it. I'm sorry.
No,
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
No. I realistically, this is obviously not a good movie in my opinion, but it's far from the worst movie I've ever seen. I do not feel like I don't feel like I wasted my $3.99. I have no.
It's right.
Where now?
I said worst movie. It's right here.
Are you sure?
I'm just kidding.
I mean, I'm surprised, man. I had this whole cast feeling like, just like I said, like Alien vs. Predator Requiem, just straight out of something the CW would do. Like, let's just take
Yeah.
these generic assholes and put them in this.
She was
Oh
like
my
Wintry
God.
Hills. Oh,
And that's what I was thinking.
None
That's
of
why I
these
was like, you would
characters
know.
were likable at all.
Dude, none of them were interesting.
No.
And like, it was just felt very stereotypical. The cinematography, like I said, outside of it feeling like a music video, there was the really weird, like, where like cuts to him really fast in his face and he'll move really quick. It's like whoa, with the camera and it jumbles all over the place. I'm like, guys, chill the fuck out. Like, I get what you're trying to do, but this probably isn't the way to do it. And
it's where the camera was just shaking
yeah,
for no reason.
Mhm.
Like, what's going on? Like, it's just shaking as it's moving. And I was like,
I don't know
Just
if
felt-
you guys caught it, but at the very end, that big like tractor thing.
Mhm.
I don't know if you could tell, but in the wide shot, you could tell there's no one is supposed to be in the tractor at the end.
Yeah.
But if you look at the wide shot, it's clearly there's a guy dressed all in black, like wiggling the thing in the tractor. And like, I guess they're like, we need a wide shot of this, but we can't cut around. Let's cover that guy all in shadow. I'm like, no, that guy's there. I can see him.
Tom? What are you doing up there? No.
It's Roger. He came back.
There's a few times I've seen, I swear, they reuse sets a lot, with the snow lodge, with the lifts.
Yeah.
And like some of these, like, I know this was done last minute allegedly from what, IMDb's saying, but like this dude's like, all right, what do we got here? We got like the backs outside somebody's house we can film at night, and then like this bar-ish thing, and then like this snow lift place we can go to like 40 times, excuse me. And there's one time where they're in that section and like you see the killer chasing after Roger. I don't know these people's names. I don't fucking remember.
I mean, that is a character name, so you're right.
I had to double check. But like you see the killer walk, and I swear to God, you see the shadow of like somebody on set from the left. It's like a shadow that casts over here. I'm like, well, I don't think that's supposed to be there. But listen, I have no experience with this film series whatsoever. I remember the advertisements all over the fucking place for the first one. Never watched any of these. So as far as this goes, not the worst slasher I've ever seen in my entire life. I actually thought the whole, like, again, not seeing it, I know kind of how the first one plays out. But, like, the whole accident, quote unquote, with the friend I was like, oh, okay, well, that's kind of interesting. Like, I didn't think, like, how it played out. Like, they gave you, like, the red herrings and shit throughout, but we'll talk about that later. But I would not watch it again. I don't feel like wasting my money because I've never seen the movie before. And, it was, I don't think it's very good, but the kills were, I don't think the kills were even that great. Like, give us some more gore outside of the forklift, I guess somehow impaling yourself on a blunt.
That opening. All right, so that opening was a little ridiculous. They're talking about like the killer from the previous movies, and then for a minute I assumed at the beginning, I'm like, oh, this is a prank that they're pulling. But they got real into this prank with the fisherman attacking like the circus or whatever, the carnival. And I'm like, oh shit, is the killer just out killing people like willy-nilly? And then it took a while for it to actually, reveal itself to be a prank. But I like that their plan is like the killer's gonna chase a guy onto the roof, and then our friend's gonna skateboard off the roof.
He's like, check out my Tony Hawk moves. Woo! And
then we'll meet him up later. And it's just like, wait, your plan was for the guy to skateboard off the roof, and you didn't think that could go wrong? And I can maybe I wouldn't have predicted that he again would, like you said, got impaled on a blunt object. But I would have been like, yeah, dude, you're probably gonna get hurt. Let's not do this.
So I don't know how high compared to said smokestack he was, or exhaust stack he was, but like I know we'll talk about him, but it's just like he probably would have hit. It would have stabbed into him a little bit, but he would have just gone through it. Like he probably would have hit, like it would have bent it, and he would have rolled off. Like I just don't. I don't see that. But anyway. Yeah. Oh, by the way, I need to state this thing. I usually do this before people run here. I don't care to say this. Tony, I've never listened to any of your stuff.
That's fine.
I like being honest with the people we have on here. I do know you from Movie Dumpster. I don't remember what I watched some stuff with you.
How dare you not listen to my stuff?
You should shame me. All I know is you're the asshole from Batman. That's all I know you as.
That's right. The best Batman movie.
Wait, Tony. Wait. Whenever I actually meet you, I have this Dark Knight Rises special edition I want you to sign. Right here, right on the top of the cowl.
I signed so many copies of The Dark Knight Rises. I might have signed more copies of The Dark Knight Rises than some of the stars in the film.
It wouldn't surprise me.
I wasn't even wearing this hoodie for that.
And don't worry, Tony. We made sure to mention you when we got to that part of our Dark Knight Rises episode. I said, Tony from Back to Movies is somewhere in there.
It's the best. That's why it's the best movie.
I only watched that. I love that scene because I'm a Steelers fan, so and that was the Steelers Stadium, and I was just there in October. So, but I was. It's a great joke. All right, Dan, you got anything else you want to add before I crack this beer open and talk about what I thought about this movie?
I'm done ranting.
All right. Well, as I do, my brother usually gives me these craft beers, so I'm just going to share the beer I'm going to open before I share my thoughts. This is from Vanished Valley Brewing Company. It's called Watershed. It's an IPA, and it's from Ludlow, Mass, which is close to me.
Ludlow.
So,
Lost in Jurassic Park.
Here is
Ludlow.
Mass.
Yeah. I was like, Ludlow? Like, wait a minute. We're making Lost World references already?
Yes.
Man, I don't have anything to drink.
Hey, I got a Margaritaville themed thing. We can make a Jurassic World reference. Hey, go ahead. Sorry.
Maybe. So, this movie is just awful. It's one of those things where it starts off with like just terrible dialogue where they're sitting in the Ferris wheel talking about telling the story in the worst way possible. Did you ever hear the story of the fisherman who killed people? Good story there, Tina. Like what? That's how we're starting this. And then the prank. It's just none of these characters are likable. It's shot. I mean, I feel bad for the director. I can't put full blame on this director for what he was set up to do.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is I feel like this movie was shot for nothing. And if you're going to try to shoot a movie for nothing, at least give us something original. Like, give us an original idea.
Well, the production company was called Original Films.
Well, shit, they got us there.
And Mandalay Entertainment, which is a pretty decent size entertainment company. But yeah,
they had a partnership. I don't know if you know this, but Original Films had a partnership with Sony. Could you tell by the Sony cameras in the movie that they kept showing?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You might have noticed that they had a partnership with Sony.
Product placement.
It's not as bad as the Amazing Spider-Man movies.
Oh God, yeah, those are pretty bad with the product placement.
I just think of Godzilla 1985. It's like Dr. Pepper. Dr. Pepper, like all over the background.
But yeah,
it's okay. You can get a Parker. It's fine. It's okay.
It's kind of on the same track that Dan said. Like, it's not the worst movie I've ever seen, but to be honest, I watched a couple other bad movies over the weekend, and this didn't even like those other movies were way more entertaining than this. It's like it's just one of those things where you're like, I just rather watch the original, but.
Yeah,
here we are.
It's that sequel trap where it's like we're just kind of doing the same thing again.
Yeah,
we'll make a couple small changes, but it's like, okay, well, I've seen this. It's like Halloween 4. It's like, okay, well, kind of just the first one again. It's sort of in that vein.
Yeah, it's just dumb decisions, douchey characters, because that's just how it has to be when you make a movie like this. You always have to have like that douchey character. It never fails.
Small cast.
Yeah,
very small cast. But overall, the end, the way they end this movie is just like, what? That's what you decided to do? It wasn't just going to be some person. It was just, oh God, we'll get to it.
It's very bizarre. Now, there are issues with the original I Know What You Did Last Summer because it is framed as like a whodunit.
Mm-hmm.
Because the book was I've actually read the book. The book is very different than the movie, and the writer of the book did not enjoy the movie. I don't know if you know this. No one actually gets murdered in the book. There's a death that the kids cover up, and there's someone sending them cryptic messages. And when he reveals who he is, it is like a whodunit. They're trying to figure out who it is. When the guy reveals himself, he tries to kill the girl, and like he gets stopped. So it's not a slasher, it's more of a mystery. And then the filmmakers made it an outright slasher, and the writer, Lois Duncan, was upset by that because she had a daughter who was murdered. And she's like, I don't really think making murder fun is a good idea. And she accepted the money from the adaptation, so whatever. But I could see her being like, wait, you're making like a fun slasher? Like, I don't really like that. But the original movie was kind of set up as a whodunit, and then at the end, it's like, oh, it's this guy. Kind of like Friday the 13th. Friday the 13th, the original, also had that same problem where it's like, hey, this is a whodunit. Here's all these red herrings. And then the very last minute, they're like, oh, it's that guy. But this movie does it so much worse.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's all my thoughts. I feel like I'm just going to dig into this plot. So if you guys are ready, I'm ready. Let's start this shit show. So this movie starts off with the title sequence, and and the thing that I picked out, I don't know if you guys could hear the really obnoxious squeaking sound that was being made throughout this opening sequence. It just sounded like somebody was biking, and it just a really squeaky wheel, or it was like one of those mouse wheels. And I was like, someone get some WD-40. This is pissing me off. Jesus.
I thought it was in our house.
Well, you find out it's the chairlifts, because it literally shows I was like, you sons of bitches, man.
Those chairlifts are so pivotal to the plot. Good God.
And we've talked about these stop with these stupid opening sequences where it literally shows a part of a scene and then it shows a credit and then it shows a part of a scene. We talked about it when we talked about the Friday the 13th remake, and we talked about it with, I think it was Alien had the same thing. Well, Alien did the best, but it's like they'll show, but it's not showing anything. It's just showing us woods. Like it's a panning over the woods. They're showing us the actors no one's ever heard of, and it's just bad.
She heard of them.
Yeah,
she knew at least one of them.
I
knew one of them, the Michael Myers guy. So.
Oh right, yeah.
Okay, that's fair.
So we meet our friend group, and it's Amber and her boyfriend Colby, and he's a douche, and he tells the story of the fisherman. And it's told terribly. As I stated before, literally the way he tells the story is, did you ever hear of the story of the fisherman? He killed a bunch of teens back in the day. And then that's it. That's how the story goes. And one girl goes, are you trying to scare us? I'm like, were you really scared from that? 2 sentences of him telling us nothing. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So
I like that was enough to scare them. Like, guys, I'm going to scare you right now. Okay. The pizza place down the street from my house, the owner of it, she killed her husband. That's the end of the story. Did that scare you?
No.
I'm actually more intrigued. I want to know more.
I also want a pizza.
Is this an episode of...
Sorry. I don't think she was convicted yet. Allegedly, she killed her husband.
Okay.
Did she bake? I think she killed her. It was pretty cut and dry. Anyway.
Did she bake him into a pie?
No. Sorry. Not to go to the side tangent. This woman, she killed her husband. She got like the guys at the pizza place to throw away the mattress, and then she went on Facebook and said, "Does anyone know anyone who could dig a hole?" And then at the same time was like, "Does anyone know anyone who can get rid of the skunk smell in my garage?" So these guys dug a hole and they're like, "What do you want us to fill it in with?" And she went, "Oh, it's okay, I'll do it." And then the guy's son in Italy is like, "Hey, where's my dad?" Then when he saw her Facebook post, he was like, I think this woman killed my dad. I haven't followed up on the story since then. The funny thing is, I was talking to that woman like 4 weeks before it happened. And I think I even talked to the guy she killed.
Well,
allegedly.
No.
Allegedly.
What?
Say, listen, hey, you got an interesting story out of it, Parker.
You arranged this movie. I didn't say shit. I've already heard the story. I was listening to it again.
I haven't heard it. You rained this on us. We were ready for a different movie. You're like, last night, we're watching fucking Summertime, loving.
The point is, did what I just say scare you? Because that's the equivalent of the other guy. Like,
no,
there's a guy with a hook, and he killed some people, and they're like, yeah, that's cool, buddy. A lot of people kill other people.
Ooh.
Nice. Cool story, bro.
Oh, Lord. So our friend group then go down and they meet Lance, who's working at the carnival. And him and Colby, they have an interaction. I guess they don't like each other very much. And then AJ shows up. He's the cousin of Lance. Mm-hmm. And he's going into the Marines, and he has to make that well known.
PJ.
He's about to leave. Or PJ. What did I say?
AJ.
I thought his name was Ben.
It's something J. It's a letter and a J. So, yeah. Who cares?
Because I thought his name was Paul Revere when she showed his...
Oh.
So yeah, Amber and Colby are a couple, and it looks like it's a loving relationship. She's asking him to win him a monkey, and he ends up winning. And I was like, bullshit. No one wins these carnival games. Cut it out.
He's like, if I win the monkey, do I get some ass? And she's like, win the monkey first, dumbass. Like, okay.
Exactly. And then the fisherman shows up. He like rips through like a wall and then chases them around. And I go, not seeing this movie, I go, the fisherman is literally going to be chasing this group of friends through a giant carnival full of people that doesn't seem right.
I thought this was going to be like one of those like early movie, like the cold openings where he just ices everyone. And there's like, okay, here's the actual movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, it went on for a while. That's where I started to second guess myself. Like, maybe this isn't a prank. Maybe this killer's just very, very ballsy.
Yeah, because it goes on for a long time to the point where PJ, like Jason Voorheeses himself up to the top of this parking garage. Yeah. He was just down below. How did he get up there so fast? Well, then the fisherman's up there. He's going to attack him, and then he does he tries to pull some moves from Tony Hawk Pro Skater off of the side of this thing, and immediately, not seeing this movie before, knew he died. I was like, where'd he go?
I was like, I seen him bail. I was like, I hope he's all right. Like, what happened to fucking PJ?
Oh Lord! So yeah, you find out it's a prank. It's Roger he was the one who was dressed up as the fisherman. And then they're going, oh shit, what's going on over there? And then they're like, oh no, these are the pads that were supposed to be on top of that exhaust pipe, because that makes sense. And yeah, PJ
that was weird. That was because they're like, someone moved the mattresses, and it's like, were they going to be on top of the pipe? What the fuck?
Yeah, it's so weird design.
Like, he bails legs down. How did he just whoa?
Good question.
So
remember, there's an important detail in the scene. The guy's hook is the hook that the killer used.
Yeah. They mentioned that.
$39 on eBay. Like, yeah, you did.
The killer used multiple hooks, by the way. So yeah. Wait, actually, the second one, the hook is connected to him because he lost his hand. So maybe it's the hook from the first movie, but I think that's just a hook he had lying around. Anyway, sorry. He was a fisherman. He probably had multiple hooks. But anyway.
Yeah,
that would make sense. You could have replacements in case you lost them.
I've seen them. I've seen a perfect storm. I've seen those hooks before. They have more than one. So yeah, PJ's dead, and you find out that PJ's also the son of the sheriff.
Mm-hmm. So
that comes into play in the movie. They go to a swamp, just a random swamp, and they're just fighting over the situation as they do in every single, so I say every single movie. There's only been 2 of them before this, but they're like, oh, we can't tell anybody. We got to make sure no one knows. So we're going to, keep it a secret. No one say anything.
Blood pact.
Yep. We then jump to 1 year later. Oh yeah. And then Colby actually throws the hook into the lake or the swamp that they're by.
Mm-hmm.
It's 1 year later. Cheese time?
Colby. We thought his middle name was Jack the whole fucking time. So we just
it would have been funny if it was Jack.
We just called him Cheese Man the whole thing. And he looked like a former employee of mine. Like, it really bothered me. I was like, this is the same fucking guy. He acts just like him.
Is he also a douche?
Hey. Yes. Yes. Very much so. I like him. He's a nice guy, but he had that.
I'm sorry, but if a guy dyes his hair blonde, he's a douche.
He had the same shit going on. I promise you, dude.
See, there's a difference. If you're a natural blonde, it's okay because you were born like that. That's just how it is. If you dye your hair blonde as a man, you are a douche.
You are a man.
Sorry to anybody who listens to us who dyes their hair blonde. I'm sorry.
I dyed my hair blonde for a film that I was in.
That's
only supposed to be shot. That was only supposed to be shot for 2 weeks. It looked terrible. My blonde hair looked terrible. But then the guys making it, their scheduling got fucked. So I had blonde hair for like 3 or 4 months. It was really bad.
Oof. Oof.
I really committed to it.
Hey, it's dedication, man.
So it is 1 year later, and Amber is visiting PJ's grave in a grave site that literally looks like there's 3 people there.
We're confused why the guy's grave was buried just randomly in the woods by itself.
There was like 6 graves there, and they all probably were from like the 1800s. Like,
yeah,
I didn't see any other graves. I just saw trees and birds and this one woman in a fucking stone. We thought they smuggled the body out. Like, we'll bury him ourselves.
Oh no!
Hey, there are people in this town that have their loved ones buried in their backyard. Like,
yeah, but I don't think that was someone's backyard. That was a grave site.
No, I
think they filmed it in somebody's backyard.
Like, if you're gonna bury somebody in your backyard, you better be living there forever.
No, you just put a fence up so when they rise from the dead, you have some deterrent.
There's like a thing, you get some kind of like tax break or something if you do that. I forget what the whole thing about that is.
I let people bury dead people in the backyard. Tax break.
And I'm leaving.
There was some news story. I'm not going to say who because it's very controversial, but someone buried one of their ex-wives on their property, and apparently it was because of some kind of like tax thing. There was some financial reason for why he did it. I'm like, oh, is that a thing? I didn't know that was a thing. I think it depends on the state that you're in. But anyway.
Interesting.
That's so good.
Yeah, we also have to remember this is 2006, so flip phones are the thing. Flip phone activated. Barn party, come on. And so Amber goes to the barn party. She runs into Lance, who is real excited to see her because he definitely has a crush on her.
He wants to dick her down so bad. Oh God, he wants to be.
You also find out that Colby and Amber's relationship is kind of strained because they were supposed to go off to California together, and he went off early and came back without telling her, and so their relationship is kind of on the rocks. Like anyone gives a shit.
Who does that? Like, yeah, I'll be back in town. I'm just gonna be at the fucking
I was
pool.
gonna tell you.
I don't see what you're so fucking mad about.
It's like you knew our thing was just it was a fling or whatever, and I'm like,
Yeah, we're probably gonna break up anyway, right? It's like, no. Oh,
do you not talk to each other? You know?
No, absolutely not. So of course Amber's sad about this. She, mopes away, and Lance is like, "Hey, you want me to give you a ride on my bike?" And she's like, "No, I'm gonna take my truck home." And then she gets in a Jeep, and I was like, "That's not a truck. That's a Jeep."
Oh my God! I was like, oh
Stop
shit!
it.
People are like, no, it's not a fucking truck. I'm telling you, it's not a truck.
The script said truck, but they got a Jeep. The guy's like, you say every word I wrote, don't change anything. It's like, but it's not a truck.
Don't you soil my vision.
Oh Lord. And then she goes off to, I don't know where she is. Is she on a bridge? Like, where is she just moping here somewhere?
I'm confused because the bridge has grass.
I thought it was a fucking field. I was like, okay.
And the deputy shows up, and he's creepy. He's trying to get with her too. Like he's trying to be smooth, but it ends up just being super creepy. And he's got like his dog. He's got like the police dog with him too. And he's just like, "Hey, if you ever need someone to talk to, you know who to call." And I was like, "Why are you talking like that, bro?" Like, she's not. Yeah, she doesn't want anything to do with you.
Like, I know he's being set up as a red herring, but like when you think about it later on, it's like, oh, that guy just has like poor social skills. I don't think he knows how to talk to anyone. Like, hey, if you ever really need anything, it's like, hey, you should probably not like stare someone in the eye and say that like that.
Whisper? Why are you whispering?
Yeah, why are you whispering? What's going on here?
Stop that. So yeah, Amber goes home. She continues being sad, and she's got like a creepy mural of like pictures of PJ on her bulletin board. I'm like, what is going on here?
Like, rip, never forget.
It's like she's trying to solve a murder. She's like, well, it wasn't a murder. It was a prank. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
So she said,
that is a little bizarre.
I shall keep his pictures up. I shall keep his pictures up to remind me of my secret shame.
Well, I mean, listen, he was their friend. So I understand if they have a picture of him, but she has like 25 to 30 pictures of him with like in all different situations. Like she's trying to solve a crime. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, that's what
the pins and the strings. Like,
yeah, we should have the pins and the string.
And then she gets a note where you think it's going to be something, and it turns out just to be a note from her mom saying they're out of town and don't have a party or don't drink or something. And I was like, wow, this is what you're going to do to us, you bastards. So
I was like, did she not say bye to her parents when they
No,
leave
we
town?
don't see her parents at all in this movie.
Don't exist. She wrote the note herself.
So she goes to sleep. She has nightmares about the whole situation. And she hears something going on in her house, so she goes to investigate. And an alarm is set for 11:20 at night. Why is there an alarm set for 11:20 at night? What is that? Is that I was like, maybe it's the person in the house who's just fucking with her. Mm-hmm. But there was no one in the house.
Maybe she's like a reminder, like, I gotta go water the dog.
Water the dog.
I don't know. It would make as much sense as anything else in this movie at this point.
But yeah, you're right. The killer, I don't think, is there.
No,
because she gets a text from him.
she gets 50 texts, 50 messages that say, "I know what you did last summer."
And it's really confusing when you figure out who the killer is. It's like, how did he get a cell phone? What kind of plan is he on? Like, how did he know to block the
How's
number?
he going to buy that phone? I want to know that whole situation of him going into like a Sprint store and just being like,
Yeah,
I'd like a cell phone, please.
I
Maybe
want
I
to
guess-
know. I want to know how he used his fingers to type said message.
Oh
Yeah.
no, the black goo got into my phone.
By the way, the image of the text on the phone was superimposed, and it's not perfectly matched because the words are kind of like floating on the screen a little bit. And I'm like, oh man.
It's like when you watch an indie movie and they're like, okay, we got a cell phone and we have to actually like record something else and then just superimpose it onto the cell phone to make it look like so. And then you just react this way or this way. It's weird.
Yeah.
So she goes to meet with Zoe, who I guess they have a strained relationship, probably because they decided not to go to the police about killing their friend. And
No, it wasn't because of that. This is the rocker girl, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
She's like, hey, I keep inviting you to like my shows and you never show up.
Yeah.
That's why they have a strained relationship. And she's like, I'm sad about killing that guy. She's like, well, what's that have to do with my shows? What the hell?
That's right. I completely. Woo. Yeah. So they're not on good terms. It's July 2nd. They have to tell us this because July 4th is the day that the accident happened. So of course I got to count down to that day again. Amber and Zoe, they go to at first you think it's an abandoned ski resort, but it looks too nice to be an abandoned ski resort. And you just realize
it's like, it's off season, right?
Yeah, it's off season. July. So
I don't know, man.
Like,
I don't ski. I live in an area where skiing is a thing, and I still don't know. I'm just like, I don't care. I don't ski.
I just think like, log cabin. We are in Montana? So I think
so this was filmed in Utah. I don't know where this movie actually takes place, though.
Unless I'm
thinking something about Colorado.
I don't know.
Oh yeah,
hold on.
It was a terrible name too. The town.
It was like Dickwater or something.
Dickwater.
Yeah,
that was exactly what it was called.
It's definitely not the one from the original movie.
Broken Ridge, Colorado.
Yeah,
is the name of the town.
Because the other one was like Louisiana or something. It was southern. It was more southern.
I don't
something
remember.
like that.
No, but Dan's like cabin. I was like, are we watching the right movie?
Yeah, I was like, this better be the right fucking movie because this is what Parker told us the day before. We gotta watch this one, boys.
So
that's also
fine.
on me. That's also
no
on
big
me.
deal.
As soon as I got the message
I'm
from
very
Tony,
busy,
as soon as I got the message from Tony, I sent the message to you guys immediately because I knew you guys were watching our movie that we're going to be doing next week.
We had like 15 minutes left, and I was like, I'm gonna see what's going on my phone. I was like, shit. No, it's good. It's good.
Listen, it all worked out. That's all that matters.
We make it work.
So
It will.
we find out that Roger works there, and he's like a maintenance guy. He's working on the ski lifts, and he's just a ray of sunshine. Amber tells him about the messages, and he's just like, I don't give a shit. Like, at first, he doesn't give a shit until she literally proves it to him, and then he's all like freaked out about it. But then he's
got that big blowtorch.
Yeah, and he almost runs her over with that ski lift thing. She is moving it forward as she's standing in front of it. I'm like, damn, dude, you've already killed one guy.
All right.
He's like, is this a reunion?
Yeah. So then you get a random heartfelt conversation between Amber and Zoe, pretty much apologizing to each other for being shitty friends. And then the sheriff ruins that by coming up and just being weird. He's like, I saw you guys and I really wanted to talk to you. So, hey. And then kind of just disappears into the ethos. You're like, okay, bye.
Away. Doesn't turn around until he disappears in the shadows. Like, that's fucking weird.
Disappears in the bushes.
Yeah.
So Zoe ends up visiting Colby, who is now a lifeguard. And he doesn't believe anything that's going on. He just thinks it's Amber, making shit up or just kind of bringing attention to herself. And it's one of those things where Zoe doesn't fully believe her either, but it's just one of those things like, I just want to make sure I'd rather be, was it wrong or then right or right then wrong? How would that make sense? You know what I mean? And so, yeah, he sucks. I hate this character so much. He's just that typical blonde douchebag in every movie like this. It just, they're all written the same and it's terrible. We literally, I mean, I can't talk about that movie yet because we haven't released the episode yet.
Actually, he's acting just like Ryan Phillippe in the first one, who was also a blonde douchebag in that movie. Because again, this is very much a retread of the first film.
I feel like Ryan Phillippe played blonde douches in most of the movies he was in.
And this whole scene was awkward because they're like this talking to each other.
I know Joke. I know Joke thought they were going to kiss and we were going to have some weird subplot where they were having a relationship behind Amber's back. And it was like, what? That's not what I was expecting.
I was waiting because they were like, their mouths were level with each other and they were like this close. So
listen,
come on.
The only lady in this movie that anybody ever talks about putting anything inside of is Amber. Like, I assure you, that's the only one. Like, all the other women are off limits. It's just her. Like, I'm serious. Like, you don't have it about anybody else. They're not even mentioned or brought up. They're just ladies that just happen to be there.
Yeah.
And then you get the weird, somebody writes, "I know what you did," with water on the hot concrete. I was like, what?
That's already wet to begin with.
Yeah.
And I was like, it just looked weird. I was like, what the fuck? That's an odd choice.
Oh.
Again, when you know who the killer is, it's like, wait, how did he do that without not being seen? He's not dressed very conspicuously.
And his physical appearance outside of the jacket is not something you go, oh, it's just a normal guy.
Can he turn in?
He doesn't even like look around like, oh shit, is he here?
He's like, oh,
looking on the ground.
By the way, the fisherman outfit was because the first movie was in a fishing town, like a town full of fishermen. So it was a way to blend in. I mean, it makes less sense in the second movie, but like even in this one, I'm like, okay, this is not a fishing town. A fisherman is going to be caught pretty quickly.
Like, you stick out like a sore thumb.
Oh,
yeah.
So the next scene, Amber, she goes for a bike ride up the mountain to take some, because she's a photographer. So she goes up there to take some pictures of the storm that's coming in, the kind of surrounding area. And she's only about 10 feet from her bike.
I have a problem with this scene.
Okay.
Because, so when you have a camera, no, this isn't a Sony camera, but when you have this screen right here, unless you have it up, you're not seeing what you're taking pictures of. And she's like, dude, how do you know what you're taking pictures of?
She's just,
because in 2006, I don't think SLRs had the screens on them, did they?
Hers did, but it wasn't. It was blank.
I used to work and sell cameras. I just don't remember.
I'm like, how do you know what you're taking pictures of?
Yeah, how would you know if it was in focus? Like,
yeah.
I mean, you can guess. You can guess.
And she's got some great scenery to be taking pictures of.
Yeah, the very scenic area there.
Of it.
Is it all on auto? Like, auto.
We got some good shots here.
Oh, and when they were taking pictures, the selfie in the Ferris wheel, like you could see the screen and like they were off to the side. I'm like, that's not gonna be a good picture.
That was never gonna go on my MySpace page. Fuck.
So she's not very far from her bike, right? I mean, is that what you guys felt like? Like where she was taking those pictures for where her bike was probably only 20 feet, 25 feet. And she turns around and this person dissected her bike tire, not just sliced it. They tore it to shreds.
That's what we do.
Yeah, horribly.
Like this tire, but go ahead.
But so I'm just like, you didn't hear anyone coming up behind you or like destroying your bike. Like it wasn't just a sliced tire. They like bent it up and stuff. I was like, what are you doing?
It wasn't just like a small slice. It was like they would have had to have. They sliced half a tire.
It's awful. So then she brings the bike down the hill to where the lifts are at the lodge, whatever. And it's really, she's just snooping around. Like, what is, I was so confused. Is she trying to find someone? Is she hoping she doesn't run into the fisherman? Because then she runs into the guy, the like mechanic guy.
Yes.
Or at least the guy who runs the ski lift.
Yeah.
And then just sends her down to the bottom. I was like, wow. All right. That's
And it gets
all we're
dark
doing.
awful fast.
Like instantly.
Well, a
Like-
storm was coming, he said,
That-
right? This
yeah,
is the scene
yeah,
where he's
yeah.
like,
It's
storm is
never
coming.
that dark when a storm
It's not
is
like,
there.
all right, and the storm's here, and
And we
out go the
flip
lights.
lights. Yeah. Like, dude,
But-
I wouldn't want to go down in a metal box in a storm.
As she's
I
riding
don't
the
think I could
lift.
ever.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I don't think I could ever get on one of those things. I'd be too freaked out. Like I'm
No.
afraid of Ferris wheels, and I've been on
Oh.
multiple. That's the thing. Well, here's the thing. Like every time I get on a Ferris wheel, I'm like, you know what? Maybe I'll finally lose my fear. And every time I get off a Ferris wheel, I'm like, I'm still scared of Ferris wheels, and I don't want to go on them again.
Dude,
He's ridden them, but when I get on him, I'm like, you know how it curves up at the bottom? I'm like pushing my feet and I'm like holding the bar. I'm like,
And I'm not even like afraid of height. It's just being in a slow moving object that high up. I'm like, no. Like roller coasters, I'm fine with. A bunch of stuff, I'm fine with.
yeah.
But I'm just like, and I'm like, no, I don't like this. I could never do a ski lift.
It's
So-
not the high up that's the problem. It's the falling that I'm like,
Well, that's what I was going to say is like one time I was going to tell a story because I've told you guys before. I don't know if I've said it on here. It's relevant. So my son, our youngest son, we went to Dollywood and they have a Ferris wheel there. And he's like, I want to go on the Ferris wheel. I was like, we'll wait in line. By the time we got to the front of it, he's like, I don't want to go on the Ferris wheel anymore. I was like, no, the hell you ain't. I said, we're going here. So that's not what I said to him. That's what I was thinking. And I was like, no, we are going on this Ferris wheel. And we get on it, they put a person on, move it, put a person on, move it. So we cycle back one slot. This is fine. Cycle back another slot. The thing kind of rocks. And I'm like, I'm not okay with this anymore. so I had to put on, I don't like heights. I had to put on the bravest face humanly possible, not scare my son. Like, it'll be all right, son. And I'm just like inside, like, give me the fuck off this wagon wheel. Like, I hate this shit so much.
My relevant story. My relevant story for this is I went to Disney last year with my entire family, and to get from your resort to some of the parks, you have to take a skylift, which is just one of these, and it's fine. It's pretty high up, but it's when you are going to stop at one of the stations, it goes so fast and then immediately stops. And my wife is sitting like facing the opposite direction, and just it terrified her. It was actually pretty scary the first time, but after a while, it was hilarious just to see my wife's face. But yeah, there we go. There's all our stories about Ferris wheels and ski lifts.
Huzzah! This is where the movie ruined itself.
Yeah, so she then gets attacked by the fisherman on the ski lift. Where was he? Was he on top the whole time?
I don't get it. Like, why doesn't it just kill her there? Like,
she took a picture of him. She took a picture of him. That's exactly what I thought. I was like, she snapped a picture of him and he got scared and ran away.
Yeah, ran away 50 feet in the air.
Fool.
But
I could say something, but I won't. I'll
no, you said what I want.
say he's Amish.
He's Amish. Oh yeah, okay, I got it. That's fair.
There's actually not a lot of Amish out there. There's more Mennonites. I live near the Mennonites.
Yeah, we have Mennonites that come here all the time.
Yeah. I went to a Mennonite museum a few years back, and the most of the museum was like, "We're not Amish, by the way.
We have lights. This isn't candles, motherfucker."
They're like, we outnumber the Amish by a lot. There's not even Amish people. There's way more of us. Like, okay, Mennonites. No one was arguing with you.
After the successful Mennonite versus Amish campaign, it was this massive war that nobody knew about. This is what ruined the movie for me, because I was actually hoping, because I'm again no experience with these movies outside of what I heard of the first one. Like, I was kind of hoping that there wasn't going to be a killer, that it was just this whole thing that wasn't actually happening, and it was just somebody fucking with them, and they were just offing themselves or doing dumb shit this whole time. And I was like, okay, never mind, it's a guy. And I was like, we're done. Like by that I was like, maybe they'll do something clever, but that whole thing just.
See, I had a whole different theory, which I talked to you about.
Yes.
I'll say it later.
Okay.
So no one believes her, by the way.
I don't believe her. Fuck,
She goes to tell the story, and no one believes her. And Colby continues to be a dick because that's just his entire character in a nutshell.
Again, because he's Ryan Phillippe. They're like, just do what he did in the first one. Oh, okay.
So we then see Roger, who is this is like they're like, let's put a super depressing part into this movie, and it's this guy punishing himself for, you know, keeping his friend's death a secret and being involved in this. So he's, you know, pilling it up and boozing it up, and he's cutting himself with the hook. Not just cutting himself, he's cutting himself with the hook that somehow he got back from the lake that they threw it in after
he went back and got it. He went back and got it.
Oh, Lady of the Lake, please return my blasphemous hook. Here you go.
And this is where we get this weird shot where it's like this really flashy editing where it's just like things are happening like really fast in front of Roger, and you're just like, oh, can we stop? I hate when they do that.
It's another music video.
I thought we were in the middle of a Papa Roach music video. I was like, holy shit, dude. Got my life into pieces, bro. Like, let's make this shit happen.
You also find out that Roger lives at the ski lodge. And
yeah, that was weird.
Yeah. I was like, maybe because he's maintenance that they allow him to live there in the off season, kind of like some Jack Torrance shit, but I don't know.
Another complaint, like, it's a nice ski lodge. Everything seems fine. Why has he got a fucking light bulb hanging from a fucking extension cord and like right in his face? Like, I was like, literally, this dude took it from a music video. Said this will be great for this shot. Like, no,
make sure to hit it a couple times so it swings.
Yeah, exactly.
So then Roger's getting stalked through all of the lifts, and then he gets into a small. Sorry,
he doesn't seem that surprised by. Oh shit!
Oh no! I knew this was coming. Then he uses a saw against the fisherman, and you're like, oh, cool little fight. Nah, it didn't last a whole 2 seconds because he drops the saw and then he gets gutted. Well, actually, no, he gets his neck slit. He's not the one who gets gutted.
That's not how hooks work, by the way. I just want to let everybody know. Like, it's not.
You can't just do this and cut someone's neck.
No, they're kind of designed to like hook, not like.
I think it would have been funnier if he got decapitated, because that would have absolutely made no sense.
Yeah.
But swung it the other way, like the blunt way, and his head just. What is this?
This is made the comment, he's the hash slinging slasher.
Yes, and I would have much rather watched a movie about the hash slinging slasher. Hey, they made Pool horror movie and The Grinch. Fucking let's make a SpongeBob live action horror film. Just do it. I'd watch the shit out of that.
Listen, right before we started recording this, I just recorded an episode on the Winnie the Pooh horror movie. So, hell yeah!
Oh, fine.
So, the gang shows up just minutes after Roger gets killed. Like, they show up, he dies, they're there. Like, oh no, Roger's dead. And then Amber, why do people always want to touch the dead body? Yeah. They always want to touch it. Amber's just like, I can't resist touching body. And it's like, and then
is he dead?
Then the deputy.
I'm not touching shit. I'm gonna be like, no.
I wasn't here, guys. And
here. I wasn't even here. Don't even know the guy. I'm out. Goodbye.
This is relevant to our next movie we'll be covering around this time. About touching things and what you're not supposed to fucking touch.
Oh yeah. Anyway. So the deputy shows up out of nowhere. How did you know to come up here there, deputy?
Yeah.
He's just there.
And Colby puts his hand, he like touches the blood and there's like nothing on his hand. When he
Cherry.
He goes, and there's nothing on his hand.
Grenadine.
But he's like,
yummy.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, they find a note, and this is where you get they show Amber holding the note. Did you see how out of focus it was? Like the camera couldn't focus on the note, so you're like, what is it? What does it say?
I had a hard time reading. It's like I can't live with the regret, but I had a hard time reading regret. What is that?
Dude, I looked at it too. That's what I was like. It's like the meme of the dude like staring at the piece of paper. I'm like, I looked at it. I was like, sorry, I can't live with and like this word that I was like, what is this? Like, this doesn't look close to anything.
They just couldn't get that camera to focus. So he questions them, and then he continues to make creepy attempts on Amber, and she's like, my friend just died. Can you not? And then leaves. Not exactly how it went, but that's what I could have thought. Like, that's what I thought. I was like, her friend just died. What are you doing? So they get back to Amber's place, and there's like pictures all cut up all over the place leading up to her room. And then it shows someone had rearranged her little mural she had of the PJ pictures. It just says soon. Because after they get to they discover Roger, they assume Roger's the killer. They're literally like, he killed himself because he's
whacked.
That's what they. I'm like, what the?
They say he's whacked. So, okay, how
so? I'm confused. Like, was he getting whacked as like an assassination thing? Like, what's going on?
So with this clipping, like all the picture in the message, they kind of were like, well, Roger couldn't have done this.
And how did they know this even happened? Like, this was done just now. Like, how do you know? You were gone frolicking with a baseball bat in a cabin somewhere.
So they go to visit Lance, who I guess also works at the ski lodge. He's cutting wood. At least I think he does. Huh? He's chainsawing stuff. And I think are they suspicious that he might be the killer? That's why they go visit him to kind of see how he's feeling.
I think so.
Okay. Because he goes to them and then he almost chainsaws Colby in the face, and I was like, man, I wish you hit him.
He almost got a nose job.
Yeah. And he's like, it's not me you should worry about, it's my uncle, who is the sheriff.
Yeah.
So you're like,
oh yeah,
shit.
he's like, my sheriff was asking me questions about a secret or something like that.
Yeah. So it's like,
this is like more red flags. Like, something is wrong here. Red herrings everywhere.
Is the fisher or is the sheriff the fisherman? Maybe.
This is a fishing town with all these red herrings.
All right.
That's a good one. That was a good one.
I do. Honestly, I know it's a fish, but for the longest time, I was like, is it a bird? No, it's a fish. Like forever going. Okay. A pup named Scooby Doo.
Yeah.
Did anybody watch red herring? I was like, why is he named after a fucking bird? I was like, no, it's a fish. Like, oh, okay.
Well, because there's a bird called a blue herring.
Yeah.
Oh, it's actually it's a blue heron, not a blue herring.
Well, see, that's where my mind went.
Yeah, I get it.
Did you ever see 22 Jump Street?
Yeah,
where they think the one guy is the bad guy, and then he's like, "Hey, what's that tattoo?" And he's like, "Oh, it's my hometown's mascot, the Plainview Red Herring." So that's how you realize he's a red herring.
That's awesome. I like it. Well played.
So we get the typical woman changes in window with window wide open scene.
This movie really could, dude. This movie totally could have used some titties. I'm just letting you know, like, it was only a shit schlock, but like, not even schlock. It's just not good movie. But like, that's like the hallmark. Like, it's a bad movie. We need to have guts and titties. Like,
well, I mean, the first one doesn't have straight up nudity, but it does have Jennifer Love Hewitt in it with like the tightest shirt possible, and then like the iconic moment of her screaming and you seeing her cleavage. It's like, all right, we could have gotten something with that. We didn't get anything like that.
But yeah, the first thing my wife goes is, why is there not a screen on her window? Like, why is it just a wide open window? She changes in front of it with the curtains open, and then as soon as she's done, she shuts the window.
Like, wait a minute.
I was curious as to why her window was open, period, like up. Like,
turn your air on. What the fuck,
well,
dude?
You know that somebody's after you or after people that you know. Why is your window open?
It's not even like did they even have a thing where she looks at it like confused for like a second? Like, how did that get open? No.
It's like, oh,
she knew it the whole time. So being suspicious
of boys, leave your money on the fucking doorstep. Thank you.
So being suspicious of the sheriff
somehow.
Colby leaves a note for the sheriff because they're very suspicious of him.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. And dude, don't use your own fucking handwriting. Come on, man. You guys think ahead. Paper
always use your left hand. Or your offhand. No, your offhand. Sorry. I meant to say use whatever your weak hand is.
Well, you only use your offhand when you want to spice things up. Go ahead.
Okay. So Zoe has some weird trippy nightmares where PJ is the fisherman and he kills her in some really flashy editing again, because we have to, every time there's a dream of any type, we get this weird flashy editing that's just very nauseating.
Pretty sure my dreams aren't like that.
No.
For
Half the
me,
time I don't
my
even
dreams are
dream.
not a music video.
All my dreams are like this, guys.
They're all jump cuts and music videos.
They're all
and
jump
shit.
cuts, flashy, and then like my friends are trying to kill me. It's
It's mostly Johanna.
because mostly Johanna.
Because we live in a different time period. Do your dreams now start with warning photosensitivity?
Yes,
Like,
actually.
Okay, I just want to make sure you're protecting.
No, I have that written above my bed. It's like warning photos. I'm like, oh, thank you.
Like you just
I can't have dreams with too much flashing lights. Also, Lance's bike gets carved into.
Yeah.
He just says,
And he's
"Eat a
like-
dick, Lance."
He's like, what the fuck? Not
What
my
is
bike.
Which one of you guys did this? This is funny.
So who goes to the high school pool to swim in the middle of the night? Colby does.
Apparently, everything happens. in the
I don't
middle of
know,
the night.
man. The other movies show up, dude. Because it's relevant. Alien versus Predator, right? We're meet me at this pool.
Yeah.
So we can go swimming. Like, oh, is that what we're doing?
Spoiler, everybody. We're talking about that in 2 weeks.
Oh, fuck. I didn't know.
That's
I don't
okay.
have a fucking placement of these. I'm just
Listen,
bitching about
we've been
it.
talking about how we've been recording all these episodes out of order. So yeah, Colby's swimming and then he gets attacked by the fisherman who gets him in the Achilles. Oh my god, this was like pain. I was like, damn, that sucks.
Yeah. Looks that bitch good.
And then the fisherman just leaves. He doesn't even finish the job.
Oh, you know why? Because that's what happened to Ryan Phillippe. the fisherman like ran him down with the car, injured him, showed him the hook, and then just disappeared. And for the rest of that movie, like Ryan Phillippe's
Boy.
like injured and cut up and whatnot.
Boy,
So
I
they're just
assumed the
rehashing
fisherman to swim.
I don't get it. Because the thing is, he's supposed to kill people on the 4th of July, right? Like, that's the thing.
Sometimes, but not really.
Yeah, because they off, Roger and shit. Like, they didn't care about him. And the what's her name got attacked on the gondola or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, it's inconsistent because like the first one, the kid from Roseanne and Big Bang Theory's in it.
Johnny Galecki.
And they like, yeah, him. And apparently they like added his death scene early in the movie because the producers were like, there hasn't been a murder in our slasher yet, so they just add in this like weird death scene with him that makes no sense. He had nothing to do. He's not one of the kids who knows the secret. The killer just killed him for no reason.
It's like, yeah, we just had to add this in because
Yeah.
Convenient.
So they plan on telling the deputy about the prank and PJ's death, the truth behind it. So they go to his house and he's having a party with like everybody from the station. And, they start to say something until the sheriff comes out of the house, who's still wearing his uniform, by the way. I love sheriffs in movies who never wear anything other than their uniform.
That's all they do.
Pretty
That's
great.
all officers ever do is wear their uniforms all the time.
But the funny thing is when the sheriff walks out, he goes, "What you guys talking about?" And just the random guy off screen who goes, "They were saying something about your son." I was like, oh man, what a dick.
Somebody's trying to stoke the flames. They're going to fight.
Like you didn't even see the guy say it. You just heard it off screen.
Yeah.
And I think when the subtitles came up, it was just, I forget what it said, but it didn't have a name.
It's like off screen.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm like, wow. Just play your cards, guy. It's now July 4th. Independence Day. The alien invasion. Oh, sorry, that's the wrong movie. Sorry. I'll go to another one. Bill Pullman is not our president. We only hope. They all plan to leave. They had this whole plan. They were going to get out of there, but Zoe's like, I have a concert and there's a talent show and there's going to be scouts there or whatever they're called, talent agents to, and it's my one opportunity. And they're like, whatever, we'll go and support you.
Yeah.
She then goes back to her awesome barn.
I might die, but I need to be a star.
Yes.
Which relatable. If someone said, "Hey Tony, if you go to this thing, you can get like way more subscribers, but also someone might try to kill you," I'd be like, "That's a risk I'm willing to take, buddy.
I'm there.
Let's get out there.
Get that next milestone, baby."
So she goes back to her cool barn to rehearse. And the band's actually pretty good. I mean, it's typical music from the time period, but I thought it was pretty decent. It wasn't terrible. But I love the name of their band, Zoe and the Hooks. It's like, why?
Okay.
So on the nose.
I didn't catch that. Oh my god, I didn't catch that.
I had to tell him. He's like, "What'd they say?"
Dude, okay, my mind, you're talking about this, my mind went in an entirely different direction just because you're talking about this. So now I've got this mental canon of Tony going to get more subscribers and someone's going to kill him, but he'll be live streaming the whole thing. And I just imagine the scene of the dude that's trying to find his sister in Friday the 13th Part 4. Sister from the second one, where he goes down in the basement and dies. He's like, he's killing me! But it's like, Tony, he's like, don't forget to subscribe for next week's episode! Like, as you're going out, like...
Don't worry, I already got 4 episodes in the bank!
I did that recently on an episode. We were making fun of Little Shop of Horrors, where John Candy pretends someone burst into the studio to kill him, and he's pretending that. And I'm like, I say in the episode, I'm like, you know what? That's how I want to die. I just want to be recording an episode, and someone walks in and goes, I love you, Tony. It just shoots me. I'm like, that'd be perfect. Don't edit anything out. Air it afterwards.
This is how I want my legacy to be remembered, damn it.
Oh, God.
How do you know you've made an impact? Oh, a crazy person shot.
Oh, man.
Zoe and the Hooks. God damn it.
Oh, and while all this has happened, Colby gets access to the bar because he's on crutches now and he's all booted up.
I need to get this. He has a belt buckle that's a flask.
Yes,
and
he
it
does.
just pops out. And I'm like, that's the coolest fucking thing I've ever seen. I need that. But anyway.
But also, there was also a scene earlier where Zoe has the largest belt ever made. This thing is at least
her white
10
belt.
inches tall.
Yeah.
It's so ridiculous. My wife's like, I mean, we grew up in that time. I was like, oh yeah, you did have a belt like that. Maybe not that big, but it was pretty damn big.
By the way, for $15, you can get a belt buckle flask on Amazon.
Yes.
Hell yeah.
$15. That's a steal. You can probably get a flask for that much.
And it looks exactly like the one in the movie.
It's the second one in the movie. The producing it for that
Oh
long.
man, I wish I knew that before this episode. I would have bought one. So Zoe, after the show, they're in the dressing room. They all meet up, and then the fisherman just comes out of nowhere and starts chasing them through the where is this? Is this like, are these just a bunch of cabins? Is this like a small fake Western town? Like what is
You
this?
know, I honestly don't remember what the hell they're at or why.
It's just for the music thing. Is it like a music festival?
It was literally just called the
like a bunch
talent show. I mean,
it's like a bunch of like empty like buildings where they're like doing performance stuff. But yeah, it's a weird setting.
Yeah, and then like there's like the band. Like I hate the scene because it keeps cutting between this metal band.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I'm like, oh yes, and then like 2 seconds and a cut.
Somebody stepping on the floor.
That's what it is. Yeah, some shit like that. It's some song from Rent. I don't know. But anyway, they keep going with it, and like it'll be like there for 2 seconds, long enough to say that line from the song, and then cut again. Like, stop doing that. We've already established they have music, and it's loud as fuck, and nobody can hear them getting killed. We got it. Stop cutting back and forth.
But do you know why they did that?
I don't know.
Because that's how Sarah Michelle Gellar died in the first one. There's a parade going down the street, and there's like a big marching band and fireworks going off, and they don't see that down the alley she's being shoved into like a rack of tires that happens to be there, being stabbed. So they're like, let's just do that again, but dumber.
I'd rather die on the Royals. I'm just telling you right now. Like, just take me out. Just.
Yeah, so Zoe gets separated from the group and then gets gutted by the fisherman. And
dude,
of course,
that's not what it looked like. She got hit, by the way. I'm just gonna point that out.
Well, that's what we're.
She got the low hook, like,
Yeah.
right? Is this because this happens twice in this fucking movie? It was like, damn, bro. Symbolic?
I don't know. I don't know what it's symbolic of.
Is there really any symbolism in this shitty
One of
movie?
the tiger box. I don't know what the fuck you want me to say.
Oh, so of course, what does Amber do as soon as she goes down there but touch the body and get covered in blood. And then the sheriff shows up and realizes they're there because she can't shut the fuck up. She's just crying in the corner.
No,
And the sheriff's like,
no.
Oh, here
This
goes.
is the stupidest scene. They're both huddled up together, and a fucking spider is crawling up his arm. And she goes, and hits it.
This
What the? Oh.
Jurassic World, Lost World. I love that movie to death, but this scene, like, it's a
Snake.
dinosaur, but the snake's my concern.
the dinosaur expert.
It's like it's a freaking huge spider too. I'm like, where'd that spider come
Oh,
from?
sweet. Get the fuck over.
Yeah.
Later, dude, later.
So the fisherman then attacks the sheriff, kills him. So they're like, well, it couldn't be the sheriff because
Gets him in the shoulder.
He
That's
just,
what
he
I
just
thought
died.
it was.
Actually, I
Um,
thought this was red herring.
Yeah.
And
I was like, no, they drug him off. I was like, it ain't it.
yeah,
It ain't
yeah,
it.
yeah. It's like
well, here's the thing: the previous film did have two killers. It was the killer and his son. So it's like, oh, is there an
See?
accomplice?
This is where I thought it was either the sheriff or the deputy and Lance together.
I thought it was the whole police department in on it.
Yeah, he's like,
Yeah.
it's got to be the whole police department. But I'm like,
They cover it up.
But I'm like, Lance is going to get close to Amber to make her feel more comfortable, and
Hmm.
it didn't work out that way. I was sad.
Also, they never say the killer's name, do they?
nope.
Fisherman.
Because they look at the newspaper clippings, they have all the information there, but no one ever calls him Ben Willis. So I'm like, well, that's his name.
That's where it got bent. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, yeah, I
just thought
mean,
his name was
spoiler
Ben.
for the second movie. That's how they like find. They figure, oh, my name is what was the
Yeah.
what was the guy's name?
His name was Will Benson, and at the end he's like, get it, Jennifer Love Hewitt, Ben's son, and she's like, oh my god, I'm so stupid. How did I not see that?
Because it's too fucking obvious. It's good God.
Well, maybe because in the first movie we said Ben Willis had a daughter who died, and there was no mention of a son. That's why I didn't think you existed. But I guess now he had a son the whole time.
Oh god, it's awful. So the fisherman then goes after Colby, who's hanging out in the bar. The Colby ends up getting a good he gets a knife and stabs the fisherman in the back, but it does nothing to him. The fisherman pulls it out and it's clean. You're like, oh shit.
That's what I thought. I was like, there's no blood on that blade.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't know if it was like a production fuck up or intentional, but I was like, what?
And then of course we have to have strobe lights during the scene where they're like standing out and just flashing lights, and I'm like, oh my god, it's the worst.
Sweet rave party.
And Colby finally gets it right in the mouth. It's my favorite kill because I hate this character. And then he gets thrown in the trash where he fucking belongs.
That's right. He's thrown into like a big dumpster.
And then literally, I think Amber just looks down and goes, "Oh no, not Colby."
It looks like he's crying.
So they run outside and they run into the deputy, who this is who they think is the killer now because he gets all weird. He like pulls the gun up on him, and then if they find out that Roger told the deputy about everything, and he just kept it to himself because he wanted to protect Amber because he has a big old boner for Amber, and you're like, okay, buddy, he's real desperate. And then
I like that Roger ratted himself out, and the cop was like, "Don't worry about it, buddy. Just keep a lid on it."
Yeah, just keep living in that sorrow you live in.
Yeah,
Oh,
fuck up my
Lord.
chances, Amber. You keep your damn mouth shut.
Yeah. So he then the fisherman shows up, and so the deputy squares off with him until the fisherman pushes him into forks. Listen, I work with fork trucks. You never park a fork truck with the forks halfway into the air so somebody can be impaled by them. I understand why they do it for the movie, but as someone who works with fork trucks every day, this is ridiculous.
Well, the fucking this is the other scene. The sheriff, or not sheriff, or the deputy or whatever. It's where he gets his fucking beanie weenie skewered. It looks like she like boom.
Cry.
He's like, lift him up, boy. Look at, mind you, this is another problem I have. I don't know. I'm not an officer. I don't know whether, their whole regiment or how it works in fucking Montana, Colorado, Wyoming, various mountainous state in the Northwest. I don't know. But why is your shotgun that likely holds at least 6 in it have 2 rounds in the fucking chamber. Like, you have 2 in the tube, bro. Like, come on,
Good
load
question.
more.
That's a good
He's like,
question.
shit, 2, load. Like, why?
They had to zoom in real close to that shotgun every time he'd shoot it, though.
I know.
But you never get a really good muzzle flash either, because you're like, did he actually shoot the gun?
Yeah.
Right?
Like, you just hear it. You don't. It's like off in the distance somewhere shooting.
So they hop into the cruiser and they hit the fisherman, which then knocks his hood off, and you get the reveal that it's a fucking zombie. Like it's a undead. The fisherman. It's the original killer.
Ben Willis died. He got shot a bunch of times and fell into an open grave in the Bahamas and was left there. I guess at the end he does attack Jennifer Love Hewitt, but I just assumed that was like a dream sequence, whatever.
Yeah.
But no, I guess he came back to life. He somehow swam all the way back to America. And now I guess what we're led to believe was it because they had his hook? Because it's like, wait, is he just an evil spirit now? And if you kill someone on the 4th of July and try to cover it up, he will then haunt you. I'm like, well, feel like that's very rare. Like, what the fuck?
I
don't know why they felt the need to do this, other than unlike Scream, they're afraid of replacing the killers. But no one was really. I was, because I was an idiot, but I don't think many people were like, yeah, Ben Willis, he's my favorite slasher. Like, no, you probably could have had someone else be the slasher and it would have been fine. But the fact that they were like, nope, we got to bring him back as a zombie. I'm like, well, now, it's like there wasn't any magic in the previous 2. Now I got to be like, okay, now there's this dark magic and the legend is coming to life. Like, this is so stupid.
And you don't even like show like how it happened, or even like a preface like alluding to it. Like, you just hear about the first 2 movies and then nothing, and then this one. I'm just assuming it's voodoo magic. Like, that's like, I don't know what else to tell you.
Someone in the Bahamas or whatever used voodoo magic to bring him back. But I'm like, is it because they had his actual hook when they did it? So his spirit was like, more people are. But remember, he only wanted to kill those people because they hit him with a car and threw him in the water. Like,
yeah, it's the vengeful thing.
I mean, he was a murderer, but like, he wasn't like I have to kill everyone murderer. He's like, these people have wronged me. Like, these people had nothing to do with him. It's so stupid. It's so dumb.
It's literally because they did the same thing, and you're like, why?
Yeah.
Why? This is so dumb. And I love it. Like, he can't be human. He's bleeding black. Oh shit! I didn't even realize he walked away.
She laughed.
All right, break time.
I ain't waiting.
Quick break. So yeah, it's just such a weird reveal, because they're like, he's bleeding black. And you're like, what?
Only with the hook.
Only when you hit him with the hook. So he can only be killed by his hook, even though he has a new hook. So is that a zombie hook?
Why is it both of his hands again?
Yeah, wait a minute, because he died without his right hand, because it got cut off at the end of the first one.
Yeah.
So he was buried without that right hand. Also, I'm assuming he wasn't actually buried there. I'm assuming they called the cops and like they came and took his body. I don't think they left him in the undug grave.
All I know is that he looks like a straight up zombie. It's hilarious.
Yeah, he does. His eyes glow red for a second, but then like the makeup is not that bad, but I wonder if they only had it for like one day, because they go back to just not showing his face.
Nope.
Yeah.
Usually in like a Jason movie, once the mask is off, they leave it off for the remainder of the movie. So I thought that was a bizarre choice.
So yeah, they try to trick him. They try to Home Alone his ass, but he ends up dodging it.
Yeah.
And we get more flashy editing as he's attacking both of them. You're like, gotta stop this. Like, this one actually almost made me dizzy. Like, some of this editing was just like, oh God.
And again, the whole time, that weird tractor thing that she's in, I don't know what that is.
It's a snowcat. That's what Jeremy Renner got run over by.
Yeah.
Oh, it was a snowcat.
Yeah.
Okay. But by the way, like, it's rocking back and forth the whole time. And when I was watching it, I'm like, oh, does it just do that? But then I saw the wide shot about the guy who's inside who's clearly rocking it back and forth. I'm like, did it need to rock back and forth? As long as the blades are spinning, I think we'd be fine. I don't think we need it wobbling the whole time.
Dramatic
Well,
effect.
that's the thing is like the fisherman's attacking him when they get outside and he's attacking them, and she gets in the snowcat and then immediately gets pulled out of it because he's Jason. He's Jason.
Yeah.
He can teleport, and he pulls her out.
I'm sorry. What a weird choice to set your horror movie around like a bunch of skiing and snow related stuff in the summer. That's a very odd choice.
It is super odd. Yes.
So she gets his hook. She just puts it into his head, and then she pushes him into the snowcat, and he slowly gets dragged in and just gets squirted out.
I did like this part. Like, this was cool because like all the black goo and then like it shows like his raincoat like flopping around and the rotor on the front. Like,
and other movies rip this off. The Friday the 13th remake, they had them throw something into like a grinder, and then the newest Halloween, they shred him.
Yep.
So I'll always know what he did last summer was way more influential than we thought.
Yeah, it was ahead of its time.
It was ahead of its time.
Yep.
Someone ripped it off and they went, don't worry, no one's seen that movie. We'll
No one has even heard. There's a lot of people who have never heard of this movie. So the fisherman is dead. They're in the ambulance and they have like it's that final moment where like, it's finally over.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like, this is where the movie should have ended. But then we have to get the fake out scene at the end where she's driving. She's now with Lance. She's driving back to California where I guess they live.
She's
maybe
on the border of Nevada. Yeah, she's on her way to LA.
Yep. And she gets a flat tire, but it's not a typical flat tire. It's a shredded tire. Someone sabotaged it. How the fuck does that happen? I don't know. She looks around in one spot for no joke 30 seconds. She literally stands in the middle of the road and just looks around and around and around instead of, and I love the part where he asks her if she has a spare. And I went, yes, she does. She has a full-size spare in the back because it's a Jeep. Yes, and she goes, it never answers and then just stands in the road and then gets attacked by the fisherman in a flash. And then the movie's over. And I went, hurrah.
Dude,
like, you know that.
Good.
Luckily, he's a zombie because I was going to say, wearing a really thick rain slicker in the desert is an odd choice. But he's a zombie. He doesn't care.
Dude, I bitched about that when this scene came up, and he's like, "You got a spare?" And I was like, "I bet you fucking doesn't even know how to change that damn tire." That was like my first thing. I was like, "Son of a bitch."
He's like, "Is there anybody nearby that can help you? Like, do it yourself."
Why do you stand there stupefied? Break your fucking jack out, jack your Jeep up, take your wheel off, put another one on, like.
Although the one time I tried to change my tire, that was embarrassing. Like I know how to do it, but the fucking bolts on my tire, I don't know how the hell they tighten them. I could not get those things loose, and I tried so goddamn hard.
They will
sometimes. I'm like, I know I'm doing this right. Why is it not coming off?
Yeah, either they over torque them or they cross thread them.
Yeah, and I was by myself, so I couldn't like get like another pair of hands. It was annoying.
Usually when they go to some places, they'll use electrical impacts, which you're not supposed to use on aluminum wheels, which most cars have, and they'll way over fucking torque them. And you're like, guys, there's a torque spec for a fucking reason. Anyway,
so as somebody who used to run a garage. It just has to have the certain torque stick in order for it to not damage the wheel. And then you would use a torque wrench to make sure that it's not over tightened. It's a lot of steps. The wonders of working at Walmart for a decade. So we got a couple comments from this movie, nothing really productive. It was mostly, so we got 3. As you know, every week we ask what people thought of this movie. And the 3 responses we got were, our first one is from Podcast in the Woods. They said, rounds out a trifecta of crap. Our next one is from Movies for Days, who said, never knew this existed. Haha. I'm going to guess Brandy does not make an appearance. Unfortunately not.
No, Brandy does not make it in this one, sadly.
We got Johnny Browning, who just says, wishing you guys a great time. Which we did. And our last one is from Cinematography. Cinematically.
Whoa,
I looked into that word way too hard. I was like, that's a hard one.
Cinematically. You said like, you went cinema to clit, and I'm like, what?
That's an interesting transition.
That seems like a damn thing to say.
It does. Why are you taking my thunder, bro?
Their comment was, "Is this an actual movie?" with 3 question marks. So yeah, those are our comments. Nothing too exciting, but Yeah, we always appreciate everybody leaving their comments.
By the way, I'm
Oh,
looking at the
God.
poster you posted, and like maybe those are the actors in the movie, but they look nothing like the actors in the movie.
Yeah.
Oh, just like when Scream put out their first poster with all like the
Yeah.
actors in there. It's like none
Well,
of these
those were
people
the
look.
actors. Yeah, those are the actors. Just a couple of them had totally different hairstyles.
It's like Drew Barrymore's in this movie. Yeah. Oh. I mean, still one of the greatest openings of a movie, so I don't care. All right. Well, that's it for I'll always know what you did last summer. And you know what, Tony? I thank you for making us watch this movie so then I can never watch it again.
Yes.
No, I was gonna say, do you think this will be canon in the new film? Do you think Jennifer Love Hewitt will be like, "Oh, I heard he's a zombie now"?
No.
No, I'm pretty sure.
No.
I think it'll be like
I really hope they don't even go by.
2018 and shit like that.
Yeah, it's going to be literally just based off the first one. I hope they don't even go with the second one either. Because that was
You don't want
stupid.
to do the second. You don't want to,
No.
Fisherman Goes Bahamas.
Oh, yeah, because the son's name was Ben's son. Give me a fucking break. So stupid. Oh, Lord. Well, next week on episode 97, we're going back to finish the Alien franchise with a movie that originally wasn't supposed to be an Alien movie, but then turned out to be an Alien movie because the director said so. And that is 2012's Prometheus. Tony's talked about Prometheus.
I hate that movie so much. I hate it so much.
Which is also something that connects us because our first couple episodes when we changed our name, our first like 18 episodes, we went by a different. Well, I went by a different name because I did it with somebody else and then brought Dan and Angela in. Long story, but our first three, we started the Jurassic Park franchise, and so Clayton's name came up quite a bit when we did that. Did it, and then I didn't even know you knew him until he started showing up in your videos.
Yeah,
I was like, wow.
Me and him joke all the time because when theory channels started taking off, like Alien Theory, who I'm also friends with, and Star Wars Theory, I had set up a channel to do Jurassic Park Theory because I'm like, I'll jump on that trend. And then I just got busy and I forgot about it. And then I discovered Clayton and I showed him the unreleased channel I made. I went, "You son of a bitch." And he's like, "What do you want me to do? I didn't know you existed." I'm like, "Well, how dare you take my idea that I never followed up on and never announced and no one knew about and I forgot about? How dare you?"
Well, the craziest thing is Dan actually brought up Clayton on our Jurassic Park 3 episode, and I guess I was watching his Dragon Curve channel, not knowing that Clayton was also the Dragon Curve channel because he would never say who he was in the videos. It's weird, but yeah, you cover Prometheus on Dragon Curve.
I want that man to read me. I want Clayton to release just him reading the first 2 books. Like that's it. I want him to do an audiobook.
So we definitely have to try.
That shit.
Is he on socials? I gotta I want to reach out to him.
So he goes on and off of socials. I don't know where he is right now,
dude.
With socials,
reach out to him so we can do Carnosaurs.
Oh, Carnosaur! I actually reviewed. I did a commentary on my Patreon. Final plug. On my Patreon, I have a commentary track of Carnosaur 1 with Clayton, and I also reviewed Carnosaur 2 and 3 with him on Patreon.
No, don't scratch that idea. It's been done. Fuck it.
I'm sure we'll talk about it again. No, you know what you can talk about? You talk about Raptor.
No. The Last Dinosaur, 1977. Rankin-Bass and Toho. Or Subaraya. That's the one.
Okay. I was going to say, if you really want to talk about Carnosaur, that movie Raptor, it's a brand new movie at the time, and all the dinosaur footage is recycled from the first 3 Carnosaurs. They made a 4th movie out of 3 different dinosaurs.
That's awesome.
Oh, that sounds wonderful.
That's awesome. All right, Tony. Tell us what you've been working on and what we can look forward to on Hack the Movies.
Oh man, I am working on a lot of stuff. I have reviews coming out tied to big films that are being released. As we all know, Harrison Ford was not content with ruining Indiana Jones the last time, so he's coming back as a geriatric dinosaur Indiana Jones to ruin it again. So we're going to start reviewing the Indiana Jones movies leading up to that terrible film that will be awful. Speaking of elderly people who need to retire, Michael Keaton is going to be Batman again for some reason. Because we want to see a 70-year-old Batman. That's what everyone wanted that, apparently. I go out on the street and they're like, who should be Batman? And everyone goes, some old guy. We're going to start covering the Burton Batmans in the future. We're also, the next Friday the 13th is in October. And we're going to cover Freddy vs. Jason. So all this year, we're going to be going through the Nightmare on Elm Street movies. So yeah, that's a lot to look forward to. We've been doing more live episodes, as I think I mentioned earlier, where I recap like what I saw during the month with a guest. And actually, for $10 patrons, they're going to start to be able to join in the live streams, which should be fun. But yeah, that's all I got going on. There's other stuff, but that's all I got going on.
Just like a full plate.
Just a little bit of stuff. Where can people find you?
Hack the Movies on YouTube. Hack the Movies wherever you get your podcasts. You can also go to hackthemovies.com and patreon.com/hackthemovies.
Very good. All the links will be down in the description and in the show notes. As for us, you can find us at Dissect That Film wherever you get your podcasts. I mean, if you're listening to us or watching us right now, you've already found us, so I don't know why I have to tell you. But also, we're on all the socials at Dissect That Film. Next week we got Prometheus, as we stated before, which is going to be fun. It's fun that we're finally closing out on our first franchise of the year, with a controversial movie and then a movie that no one likes. So, but yeah, Tony, it has been an absolute pleasure having you on. This has been kind of like a dream come true to have you on.
I apologize again for the movie choice. I apologize. I'm sorry.
Listen, we can make the shittiest movies into a good time. So it does not matter. Like I said, as soon as you messaged me, I was like, really? Okay, whatever. Just like, okay, we're doing it, guys.
Parker's like, just watch this. I'm like, all right.
All right, everybody. Well, I hope everybody has a wonderful week. And until next time. I am Brett Parker. That is Dan and Angel of DNA Gaming. And that is the very famous Tony of Hack the Movies. And this has been the Dissect That Film Podcast, episode 96. See y'all again next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.